TNA Wrestling crossed that line again and presented Genesis, their first pay-per-view of 2026. And if it is anything to go by, we are in safe hands on TNA. The pay-per-view itself delivered every single match from bell to bell. This pay-per-view absolutely showed you what TNA can do ahead of another show on an AMC this coming Thursday. But TNA Genesis was absolutely brilliant from start to finish. Let's get the preview or the pre-show results out the way. Channing Stacks Lorenzo was in a fatal four-way defending the International Championship. We knew it was going to be against BDE. We knew it was going to be against Eric Young because that was announced. What they didn't announce was, well, what Santino did announce was there's going to be a mystery third opponent who's been from Texas, where Genesis emanated from. And that man was KJ Orso, who we hadn't seen in a while. It was good to see KJ back in TNA. This was a great fatal four-way to start things off. You know, four guys there. Channing, the international champion, from NXT, of course. He was, yeah, he's an interesting one, Stacks. But he's got Ariana Grace, of course, with him, uh, as well as part of, well, his real life fiance, of course. BD, very exciting. Eric Young, the wily veteran. Like I said, always good to see KJ also in TNA as well. With this one, the the ending of this did see Eric Young plant the power driver on KJ also, and just when you think the world-class maniac has the match won, Stacks pushes him out of the way and makes the pinfall on KJ and retains the international championship, which, to be honest, I think with the match being announced so late in the day, it was probably gonna happen, as in he was probably going to retain, but still left you at some points thinking on this, wow, is it really gonna happen? But yes, Stacks Lorenzo retains the international championship. Now, a match that was so late announced that we didn't even get a chance to predict it on the predictions league. Indy Hartwell and Vicious Vicky took on Tessa Blanchard and Myla Moore. Again, I really want to see Tessa in the knockouts picture, knockouts championship picture, not tag team championship picture, but the knockouts picture. And again, for Indy Hartwell, I feel as if Indy's momentum has kind of drifted a little bit. She was riding a crest of a wave going into Bound for Glory, and ever since being unsuccessful at winning the Knockouts Championship, she's really kind of dropped a little bit. It was quite surprising to me. I thought Indy Hartwell was going to be front and center. I thought she was going to be Knockouts champion. I did predict that last year. I got that wrong. Um, and I did keep predicting that I think she's going to be Knockouts champion. But now I feel as if there's a couple more people ahead of her in the pecking order in that now, and she's going to need to start picking up some big wins in TNA for me to start thinking if that's going to happen again in the future. Nevertheless, this was a match that she also didn't end up picking up the victory in because Tessa Blanchard hits Vicious Vicky with the single underhook DDT, and her and Myla Moore now, well, pick up a win in the tag team division, and perhaps the Knockouts Tag Team Championships could be on the horizon this time, not with Victoria Crawford for Tessa Blanchard, but Myla Moore. And I would really rather Tessa Blanchard be in that Knockouts Championship picture, but we will see. Cup of Joe, by the way. It's early. It finished a few hours ago, so I am tired, but I'm here doing it. Now, the main card for Genesis. And what a fantastic match to kick off Genesis with Rich Swann and AJ Francis. And Rich Swann for me is like he's one of the like what I would call true professional wrestlers, if that makes sense, in the world. And it showed in this one, and it showed why. He showed his ability to carry the powerhouse that is AJ Francis through this match to you could argue a career-defining performance from AJ Francis this, and Francis with his character work included in that, which goes so unnoticed with many people on this. His character work is great, and his in-ring work is constantly getting there. When you've got someone like Rich Swann to get in there with him. It really is music. It really they play such a great tune. It's a great show. There was a Styles clash into it and a Dallas Destroyer that really got me in this. I really enjoyed it. Um, However, it was AJ Francis with like a reverse choke slam and a down payment that picks up the victory. But that loss will not hurt Rich Swann whatsoever. He is brilliant. He really, really is. I thought this match again. I thought this was poetry between these two. They delivered such a great match. The chemistry was on point. Rich Swann carrying this through, but AJ's character work shone in this, and AJ Francis picking up a big win at Genesis. What's next for both of these? Well, we'll have to wait and see. This coming Thursday on TNA, on AMC, and TNA Plus. For those in the UK, get it downloaded, get it subscribed. Make sure that you do watch on Thursday and make sure you subscribe to TNA Plus. Um, we go from that, which was awesome, to absolutely brilliant. And this was Mustafa Ali versus Elijah. I don't think Ali can have a bad match. I don't think a bad match is in Ali's vocabulary. I really don't. And what I liked about this with Elijah is, yes, there was involvement from all the four, and there was always going to be. But with Special Agent Zero, it was really kept to a minimum. But Tasha Steeles gets involved. She nearly had her head spiked with a power driver in this as well. And it was nice to see Ali get a little bit of revenge on Elijah with the guitar shot to the back on this. And that's how he actually managed to win this particular match. He hit there was a bit of a distraction, and he hit Elijah with the guitar for the pinfall. Now, for me, this would indicate that this isn't over between the two. I think we're going to get a bit more from Elijah and Ali, and certainly all the four, perhaps as early as this coming Thursday on Impact on AMC. But again, this was, I don't know. You want matches that define TNA. The opening two have given you that and so much more. And then we move to the third match. And this match is obviously a little bit more, there's a lot more onto this. This was JDC's retirement match with Eddie Edwards, the last dance indeed. And I tell you what, we had two awesome matches before this, but yet this one stole the absolute show. JDC couldn't have picked a better dance partner for a last dance than Eddie Edwards. I think that Eddie gave Dango probably the match of his career right at the end, which sounds really, mad to think about it when he's had such a long career in wrestling. But that was just unbelievable. Again, I suppose in a way I'm a bit of an old school fan. So to have to do three finishers to beat him, I get it. It's his last match and he wants to go out high. I'm a very much a protect your finisher type of guy. But we are living in a world of wrestling where we see 98 super kicks, 15 finishes a match. So three finishers, on the other hand, is probably the perfect send off. And that's what Eddie Edwards had to do to JDC. He had to hit him not once, not twice, but three times with the Boston knee pie to pick up the win. Now, at the end of this was brilliant. And you could argue this may have potentially should have main evented, but there's reasons for it not doing it. Anyway. Myers, Moose, Alicia Edwards, obviously Eddie, appear in the ring. They gave JDC his flowers, and then that then brought out the rest of the TNA roster to show their to show their appreciation to him. JDC, was actually really emotional. But he showed his appreciation to the crowd by doing like a lap of honor around the ringside. But absolutely brilliant. And obviously that does bring an end to a career for JDC that has been, The man that got himself over using he got a ballroom dancer gimmick over with a theme song and a finger point. If you can do that, that shows you what a talent you actually are. Perhaps underutilized in a lot of ways, even potentially in TNA, there's an argument for that. But what a fantastic career. And I hope he goes on to be a producer. Or some kind of producer later on down the line because he doesn't deserve he deserves to be in the business, although not physically competing. Now he's retired, so hopefully that will be something that he will do in the future. But thank you for the dance, Curtis Hussey. It's been a great dance. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and the encore at the end was fantastic. um from that, we moved to Ryan Nemeth, whose thorn in his side has been Myra Slade over the last few weeks on TNA. Well, for the last few weeks, it's about Christmas, probably a month now, near enough, which has been quite funny to see him get super kicked, super kicked, super kicked, super kicked a lot. This was always going to be a filler, I feel as if you weren't going to get anything special. And I'm saying anything special, that's really wrong, but after the first three, like I say, you're generally on a roller coaster. The whole part of being a fan as wrestling is being on a roller coaster. You start up here. I mean, to be fair, you normally do this, but TNA sort of went right to the top, then a bit further, then a bit further, and then brought the fans back down to reality a bit. With this intergender match was perfectly fine, perfectly placed as well after those three incredible matches. It was a perfect spot to have this match in. Um, and it'll be interesting to see this if this feud carries on. And the reason why I say that is it was very entertaining, by the way. I will say that. Um, there was a few controversial tactics in there from Ryan, that's for sure, in this match as well. And yeah, Myra Slade suffered a bit of an awkward fall after a top rope drop kick, and Nemeth took advantage to that and used the ropes for leverage to pick up the victory. So you would potentially look at that and say, well, Myra does deserve an opportunity, um, you know, to get revenge on Ryan. But where does it go from here? That's where we're looking at. Where does it go from here in with those two? I'm looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, very much a perfectly placed match and a perfectly great match in that placement for TNA. So good match placement as well, but a good victory for Ryan Nemeth. Quite surprised. Ryan Nemeth and wins don't normally come up quite often on TNA. But this time it did. So well done to Ryan. But from there to the knockout championship match, Lei Yingli versus Zaria. Now we know this was meant to be Danny Luna. We know there's visa issues preventing Danny from coming to the UK, to US, as there's Leon Slater. Now I will happily admit that I was wrong on that. On the TNA review, I kind of thought that there was more to it than what they were saying, but it seemingly Leon does have visa issues, so I will humbly say I'm sorry and I was wrong. So, well, thank you for clearing that up. So, there we go. Anyway, knockouts championship match. Laying Lee, Zaria. This was a good match. Uh, I think there's a lot of people that are criticizing that it went a bit too long, but I thought this was a perfectly length. The match length was perfect for me because Zaria has to come across, people from maybe TNA wouldn't know who she was. And I know they were probably expecting Lei Ying Lee to retain this match, as she did, by the way. Lei Ying Lee did retain in this match, but I just feel as if people were saying it was a bit too long. I thought it was perfect. I feel as if, you had to have Zaria come across the competitor that she is, because she is brilliant, by the way. Zaria, another one off the Australian production line. Um, she is really, really good. So she gave Lee a run for her money in this match, as she should have done. Um, you know, it is really, really good to see someone like Zaria get in there as well, to be honest with you, because I enjoyed it. She's very, very talented as well. Lei Ying Lee, though, did pick up the victory with Warrior's Way. in this match. Now, at the end, Carlos Silva comes in as he tends to do with these matches and presents Lei Ying with the championship. Zarya and Lei Ying shake hands at that point. However, Elena Black, the former Cora Jade, who debuted on Thursday on TNA and AMC, comes out and signals that she wants a Knockouts Championship match against Lei Ying. Well, I tell you what, if we're gonna get that, I have zero complaints. But when I was saying about Indy Hartwell and her dropping down the pecking order a little bit, this is what I kind of mean as well. Not just because there's other people there now, like the Danny Lunas that have come up and things like that, like Elena Black. And the absolute reason why Indy Hartwell perhaps is further down the pecking order now that we've got Elena Black in here as well. But if we're going to get Elena and Lei Ying at some point, I'm happy with that. But Lei Ying does indeed retain the championship. Now, from one championship to another. The tag team championship match between the Hardys and the Righteous. Now, ever since the Righteous, who confirmed on their interview with Denise Salcedo from Fightful, have indeed signed full-time agreements with TNA. This is what I like to hear because I'm telling you now, they didn't get their opportunities in AEW. I can tell you that to show you just how good they are. You will see just how good Vincent and Dutch from the Righteous are on TNA. And it was interesting. They have been in the thorn in the Hardy side for weeks, doing little things to try and get into their heads. Well, I tell you what, the Hardys were getting into their heads this week because they dragged Vincent out before the opening bell. And and they sent Dutch in the ring. Jeff was flying everywhere. Uh, and this was all before the bell went off. So the Hardys weren't in no mood to mess about with this. I feel as if I don't know. I don't know if it was the quality of the other matches. This one just, I mean, as I said, the pay-per-view as a whole was fantastic. The Hardys won, by the way. Sorry, let me get that right. The Hardys won the usual twist of fate swanton bomb. Should the right people have the right people won here? Should the Righteous have picked up a victory? Because that's a question that a lot of people have been saying on social media following this. But I'll tell you why they shouldn't have done. See, because at the end of this and after the match, Vincent cut a promo toward the end of the match, which kind of went along the lines of well, it kind of made me think, to be honest, not went along lines. The promo made me think that perhaps Matt or Jeff are going to join the Righteous at some point. I don't know. And what I liked about it is that there are plenty of questions coming out of this match for a little bit more, because that was people can say whether the right team won or not, but what I like about it is there's lots of questions from there, and whether or not Matt or Jeff will defect to the Righteous at some point. I think that is potentially on the cards. I really, really do. Maybe Matt more than Jeff, but who knows? Who knows? That's the beauty of it, right? Maybe we'll find out some answers this coming Thursday at TNA on AMC and TNA Plus. Saw a bit on Leon Slater on SmackDown this week. He was there. He took on Carmelo Hayes. And obviously, he didn't defend the X Division Championship. However, we did have a triple threat match and it was Cedric Alexander versus Moose versus the returning Joe Hendry. Um, it was a bit of Moose early on in this match. He took a really nasty fall. He landed back first on the steel steps, and they had to pause the match briefly. Medics come out, Carlos Silva come out, checked on him before he's okay. Um, I'm not convinced that Joe Hendry winning this was the right call. So Joe Hendry did win with the standing ovation after Cedric Alexander had hit a lumbar check on Moose. I mean, Jesus, if his back was hurting, he took a lumbar check. as well. He may have checked his lumbars after that, but Joe Hendry then hit the standing ovation to pick up the victory. I don't think. One other thing quickly. Uh, Change Cedric Alexander's theme back. This one doesn't work. But anyway, I digress. I don't think having Joe Hendry win this was the right call. But maybe people called it the farewell or whatever, and I can understand that. But this match should have really been number one contendership for the X Division Championship. The match was great, don't get me wrong. The match was all, Moose was just, yeah, Moose is so, people just get that guy so wrong. He is so damn good. Cedric Alexander's good. Joe Hendry's great as well. And they put on a fantastic triple threat match. But having Joe Hendry win it, I'm not so sure it was the right call. Listen, you guys can tell us what you think below. Do you think Joe Hendry it was right for Joe Hendry to win that championship? Do you think that one of the Hardy Boys are going to join the Righteous? Put it below. Let us know. But yeah, Joe Hendry picks up the victory um, for, well, there's nothing. Just picks up the victory in what should have been a number one contendership match for the Exhibition Championship, in my humble opinion. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Main event time. Texas Death Match. So it's a bit of a weird wait. So this match, you pin your opponent and then they have to count to 10 for the match to be over. A little bit confusing on that side of things, but look, you know what we're doing. Let's have some weird rules. So yeah, um, there was there was another Nick Nemeth was special referee. I'm not sure if he got overexcited, but there was another part of this match where a free count happened. Now this exactly happened on Thursday night. Referee counted to three, didn't acknowledge the free count. Neither did the commentators. Um, it happened again on this. Yeah, but anyway, weird rules, but this match ruled. This was brilliant. They had a lot here that was going on. They had power drivers. Sorry, power drive. There was a power driver and ladder dive spots in this. They were flying all over the place. There was chains. Oh my God, they done it all. They left these two, Kaz and Frankie Kazarian, left it all in the ring. There was barbed wire, and it was the aforementioned barbed wire that made Mike Santana hit spin the block with his arm wrapped in barbed wire to pin him and to get the 10 count to retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Nick Nemeth is holding his hand up. Zigzag. Nick Nemeth, who's got the call your shot opportunity, he's got it. Now, the problem is he was referee, right? So he didn't bring a ref down with him. So he's having to call a referee out. By the time he's called the referee out, Mike Santana is up and hits Nemeth with spin the block. So Nemeth doesn't cash in the opportunity at Genesis. Santana picks up the victory for me, and oh, Santana not for me. Santana picks up the victory and retains, and he then made sure that Nick Nemeth didn't cash in that championship. So the king of the cash in has taken a bit of a blip on the road, or bump in the road, so to speak. But Santana reigns supreme, and the first overall the first TNA pay-per-view did not disappoint. Every match on this delivered in any from a storytelling perspective, from any perspective you want, every single match delivered on this. I suppose the only little disappointment would may have been the Hardys and the when you say the Hardys and the Righteous was probably the worst match of the night, and that wasn't exact, and it wasn't exactly bad by any stretch. It just goes to show you the level of what TNA delivered on at Genesis, because they delivered in a huge way. AJ Francis, Rich Swann, banger. JDT's retirement was epic. It was fantastic. The Joe Hendry Moose, Cedric Alexander was still a fun match, even if I think that the decision was wrong to have Joe Hendry go over in it. And yeah, apart from I'm not sure about the whole pin and then count to 10 part from a death match, but look, it is what it is. And it's in many ways, it's nice that these other different rules come up. So it's something a little bit different from your usual kind of Texas death match. So it's not a problem with it. It's just a bit weird. It was just took a bit of getting used to. But overall, they smashed this out of the park. And I think there was quite a lot of disappointment online from the first TNA Impact on AMC. This one has brought them straight back. For me, this is what TNA needed after Thursday, in my opinion, anyway. Um, yeah, it's yeah, really, really good that they've done this kind of match. I've really thought that, after Thursday we may have been in a bit of trouble, but TNA pulled it out of the park, and we're ready for another TNA on AMC and TNA Plus this coming Thursday. We've got Jeff Hardy and Ali in that as well, so that should be a really, really good match. Who's going to be the new member of the system as well? We'll find out this coming Thursday on TNA on AMC. And of course, TNA Plus for the UK. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed. Ensure that you do not miss a trick on TNA. It's early morning. I was going to go back to bed, but I'm not. But thank you for watching Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. We'll be back a bit later on, myself and David, with This Week in Wrestling. Watch that. Watch this. Until then, cross the line. Stay safe.